Hey everyone, my name's Lee Aidenson, and I wanted to make a video about how much I like musicals. And I have been in a few musicals, and I think they're a lot of fun, so I wanted to make a video of my top 7 favorite musicals. So here it is, my top 7 favorite musicals. Number 7, Once Upon a Mattress. I've actually been in a production of Once Upon a Mattress this previous summer, and it was a really cool musical. The plot is interesting. There are 2 different plots. There's one about Prince Dauntless, who wants to find a bride, and then there's also the plot of Sir Harry and Lady Larkin. And Lady Larkin is pregnant, but she's not married to Sir Harry, because no woman can marry until Prince Dauntless is married to a princess. So the whole story kind of revolves around those 2 plots, and it all ends happily ever after. Number 6, Into the Woods. The plot of Into the Woods combines the story of Little Red Riding Hood, Rapunzel, Cinderella, the baker and his wife, and Jack and the Beanstalk all together into one show. And lots of crazy stuff happens. And there's a lot of little twists on the different plots, and it even shows after the happily ever after. And there's something interesting about putting all that together. And little note, not everybody lives. Number 5, Oliver. Actually, just recently, I was in a production of this as well, and it was about a month ago, and the plot is kind of like Annie, but with a little boy whose name is Oliver. The musical, is based off of the book Oliver Twist, which is about a little orphan boy who decides he doesn't want to live in the orphanage he's in anymore, which is actually called a workhouse, not an orphanage. And he decides to go to London to seek his fortune, where he meets a group of thieves, including one by the name of the Artful Doctor. And in the end, he ends up finding a family of his own. Number 4, Little Shop of Horrors. The plot of this show revolves around a guy named Seymour, who works at Mushnick's in a place called Skid Row. And he just wants a girl named Audrey to notice him. And he gets that when he comes across a plant he names Audrey too. But he gets a little more than he bargains for when the plant starts to talk and tells him all kinds of things that he could do to make him famous. Number 3, The Secret Garden. The story of The Secret Garden starts off with a little girl named Mary Lennox, who has to move in with her uncle in England because her parents die of the cholera that spread through India. There, at her uncle's house, she learns all about her uncle and her Aunt Lily, and meets a boy named Dickon and another boy named Colin, where they all eventually become friends, and both Dickon and Mary teach Colin about the true meaning of friends. Number 2, Les Miserables. I absolutely love Les Miserables, but I wouldn't want to explain it to you because it would take me like 20 minutes, and I don't think you really want to listen to a 20-minute monologue about the entire plot of Les Miserables. So instead, I'm just going to give you one thing. I love Gavroche. He is by far my favorite character in the entire show. He ends up getting killed at the barricades, but he gets killed because of his bravery, and he went over the barricade to get ammo and guns, and that led to him getting shot by the army. So I admire him for his bravery, and he also has the cutest little singing parts. He has a song called Little People, and he's the one who catches Javert, General Javert, and he catches him in the act of trying to sneak into the barricade looking for Jean Valjean, who is a runaway fugitive. But that's beside the point. Gavroche in the show is, I think, a fabulous character, especially for kids. I really want to play Gavroche, actually, but I can't. Because, first of all, I'm a girl, and second of all, Gavroche is supposed to be like 8. So, that doesn't really work. But He is by far one of my favorite characters and will always remain here in my number 2 spot. And finally, number 1, Urinetown. I saw Urinetown for the first time over this past summer in June. I went into it thinking this is gonna be awful. This is going to be boring, it's going to be awful, the music's gonna be awful, the title's awful, the dialogue's gonna be awful. I just had really low expectations. And then I started listening to it and watching the show, and I was like, this is pretty cool. And I was like, oh, that's a different way of putting it. And it just kind of blew my mind that a show with such an odd title could be so good. The story is about how it's kind of like in the near future, and it's in a time where there's been a drought for, I think it was 20 years, and so public toilets are no longer allowed, so everyone has to pay to use a public amenity, and the story kind of revolves around people rebelling against having to pay to pee, and if you get caught doing public urination or not paying or something like that, you get sent to a place called Urinetown. And I hate to spoil the ending, but the main character, whose name is Bobby Strong, who is a very, very strong character, and he has a heart, and he really wants to go for the best thing. He ends up getting sent to Urinetown for rebelling, and at the end, you learn that Urinetown is basically death. Okay, so thanks for watching. That is my top 7 favorite musicals. Tune in next time for my next video. Bye!